Hi, everyone. Welcome to the latest episode of The Lowdown by Analysis.Tech. I'm John Reimer, one of your co-hosts today. I'm a principal here at Analysis.Tech. And I'm joined today by my partner and good buddy, Rob Koplowitz. Rob, how are you today?
I'm good, John. I'm good. Thanks for coming today, and super excited to talk to Neel Desai of Golden Earth. So, for those of you who've been gracious enough to tune into the podcast, we've been primarily focused on the intersection of low code and AI. And we're going to continue that conversation today with Neel, who's got some I think really insightful and strong opinions on the topic. But Neel, maybe we could start with you introducing yourself and Golden Earth. Who is Golden Earth, your company?
I'm Neel, and Golden Earth is a Mendix consulting company. We help enterprises build their low-code applications, and we've been here for about 1.5 years as a company. And but before that, I've started Golden Earth 3.5 years ago, and for the 2 years I was as a contractor. And since a year and a half, we're almost a team of 10 people now from one person. So that's who we are.
Great. Hey,
Great.
Neel, we always like to start these off by getting a little bit of insight into how you came to this space, sort of what your personal history in coming into technology and coming into this low code space is. And we've just had some fascinating stories.
So my background is computer science, so that's how I've been in tech. But with low code, I started my journey as a consultant with the Mendix's expert services team, their professional services team. So that was my first stunt into low code. Worked there for a year and realized the potential of it, and then started as a contractor after by myself. And then the AI world came rocking through,
Yeah.
and it made me and most of us start thinking about is this end of low code, is this demise of low code with AI coming in. So that's where we are. I'm reevaluating my thoughts on low code every week as we go.
As we are as you
Ooh.
could tell by the podcast, if you listen in. John, over to you.
So, Neil, you and I met through LinkedIn, where you are a fairly prolific poster about your experiences and what you're learning about AI and low code. And I was really impressed by some of the posts. I think they're very insightful. And folks, seek Neil out on LinkedIn because he's really sharing some valuable stuff. Um, so we've got these two technologies coming together. What are you seeing? I'm really curious and I'm sure you can help the audience talk a little bit about, Neil, what you're seeing customers really ask Golden Earth to do for them to bring together AI and low code. I think there's a hunger out there. I know there is here for real pragmatic examples. So I wonder what you're seeing.
um what I'm seeing is everyone being judgmental about low code being the or AI being the low code or demise of low code, right? So uh I'm being very cautious on my end to I think it's a great fit for low code and AI together. They can coexist together because low code seriously has um all the all the pieces it needs for it to win with AI, right? But there's also a lot of things where people's main concerns are, when I talk to people, their main concerns are about vendor lock-ins, I
Mm,
think. And these low code platforms are all for profit companies. They're not open source companies. So all of
mm,
the proprietary code that they have is not opened up to the AI yet, or they don't have any mechanisms where AI can go and execute some of their functionalities. So so that is the real challenge, I think, why low code is behind. But I think all these companies have realized that they're late in the game, and they're pushing forward much faster. So hopefully not not a lot of months when they catch up with high code, I think. So that's my thing. But yes, people are really concerned, and especially with these low code platforms, because they're for profit, they had a lot of value to prove when it came to their licensing fees, because they were like, go to rapid application development and faster go to market and all those things. But with AI doing all those things with high code, those advantages are going away. So I think one is faster adoption of low code is very important from these technical leaders, say CIOs, CTOs, and the other thing that CFOs want is lower license pricing.
Mm.
Let's drill into
We're
that a
gonna
little bit, Neil, because I
Mhm.
think that's so. In the interest of full disclosure, so John and I go back a long way. We've been working with vendors on strategy for many years and 10 years in this space directly related to low code and digital process
Mhm.
automation. And the vendors would come to us and they would say, how do we price this thing? How do we really price this so, so they can make money, which is what they're in business to do.
Right.
But where the customers can get, a good fair price and not be penalized, depending upon how their usage patterns go. And it was so hard. It was so hard to come up with pricing models. And it just got a lot harder with
Mhm.
token usage as an added piece of this. But your point is there's a lot of value in these platforms, and I think the market's about to discover that there is a lot of power here. Our previous one of our previous guests and good friends, Jessica de Oliveira, said low code platforms are the lifeboat that vibe coding needs. They just don't know it yet, but we
Yes.
think they're going to come to that discovery. But is there a big reckoning coming on the part of Mendix at all in the low code space on pricing? Do they have to really rethink this?
I don't know if they're rethinking on the pricing side, but they're certainly rethinking on the strategy side, right? How to, because everyone's asking for the agentic enterprise. So I think Mendix is working really hard towards that. Um, Pricing, I don't know if they're working on it, because I don't work closely with those teams, but I really work close with the R&D and the product team. So I know they're doing good progress when it comes to adopting AI. Now they might be late in the AI game in terms of high code, but if you look at the longer time frame, right, they're not going to be, if you look 10 years or 20 years in the future, then 3 months late is not really very late, right? No one switches platforms based on what's happening in the last 6 months or next 3 months.
Right.
So that's good. But vendor pricing is something, or licensing is something that they should start thinking about if they've not started thinking yet.
So it sounds, Neil, like you're hearing from prospects and customers that the prices are too high. With them, I mean, Mendix is one of the major vendors worldwide.
Hmm.
OutSystems, Microsoft, they're the major vendors. It sounds like you're hearing that the prices are do that people do want them to come down. Is
Yes.
that true?
That's true. So because now with AI, they have to pay for the Mendix licenses and the tokens also.
Right. Right. You also mentioned open source. Is that something openness has always been a struggle. We've actually published some analysis about that early on. It's always been a struggle because the platforms, as Rob said, I mean, if they're delivering the value, it's proprietary technology. And open source tends to come along much later.
Yes.
Is open source viewed as a way of perhaps bringing the cost down, or is it is it more freedom of choice that interests people?
For open source, I'm really torn up on that, right? Because then who has the real incentive of maintaining the whole thing? If if someone's charging for something, um, you have all the incentives, right? For example, we go to, like, if I go to your website, if I want to read a blog, all all you've said there is, you can read our blogs in exchange for an email, right? So no one's paying for it, but you're also not making it open to the world, right? So in exchange for email they get, and you don't need, if 100 people gives you email, right? You're not going to make money from all 100 of them.
Uh-huh.
Maybe one person might bring in something and they'll hire your consulting services. So same way if Mendix or these low code platforms, they go open source, they won't provide much value, but um, free does give a lot of value. But then again, they have a huge system to run. So then where will they make money from? That's something they'll think about. So maybe they bring in an additional stream of revenue, and which will help them reduce the licensing fee, I guess. That would be a good balance.
Mm. Okay. Hey, folks, thanks for dialing in today, and thanks for listening in. We're very grateful for all of our community that comes to the lowdown by Analysis.Tech. If you like this conversation and ones like it, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your colleagues. Hit the like button, hit the share button. We're trying to help the community through these conversations like we're having with Neel Desai. All right, let's move on. So you've mentioned that Golden Earth is a Mendix partner. So you've obviously bet on Mendix, at least for now.
Mhm.
What are the well, and before I get to that, Mendix, we've been interested in having Mendix come on, and we're having trouble getting their attention. So you're kind of the first, maybe the first representative to talk about what they're doing with AI. When with Mendix, what are the things you like? Say the top three things you like about how Mendix is approaching the marriage of AI and low code. And then what are the things you wish they did better? Like the three things you wish they did better.
So I think the biggest thing they are doing is how they're opening up the platform to other developers. So, for example, going a bit technical, but there's really something called extensibility APIs, which means you can extend the functionalities of Mendix's IDE. Right? The IDE is called Studio Pro. So you can extend the functionalities of Studio Pro, and the way they're doing it is amazing, because in low code platforms, say for example, you drag and drop up an activity from your toolbox, then it's essentially, if it's a Windows based ID, then it's executing some C# command in the background, right? Now what
Uh-huh.
they've done is, because they already have those functions, but they're proprietary, they're private to them. So now what they've started doing is they're building wrappers around it and giving it to the developers as say extension APIs, extensibility APIs. So that is something what Mendix is doing really great, because that has that has given like so much power to people like me, where I build an an AI plugin or AI extension inside that people can plug into their Mendix Studio Pro, right?
Mm.
Mendix ID, and code alongside, or have AI code and analyze their application alongside their actual code. So that is something that I love what Mendix is doing around that. Um, the the things that people complain about is the speed at which Mendix is adopting AI. So, but then now that I have view when I talk to their product and R&D teams, and I'm a Mendix MVP, so I have more insight into their future roadmap. So I know things are coming in next 3 to 4 months that are going to be very great. So which is again good. And then the smaller things that they've built is like the agents kit and the MCP support that they're bringing into Studio Pro. Now once they bring in the MCP support, you could use any CLI tool or any AI agent you want to code inside Mendix. So um, that's also great. Right now, when they start opening up, people are able to use their own AI systems and all those things. And Mendix starts giving out these things included as their licensing, right?
Mm.
So that is again takes them to the frontier, and and if they deliver on the promise, then the licensing price they have, it starts making sense again.
Right,
But it's also about not being able to do easy things, but being able to do complex things.
right, right. So you could potentially, a lot of people, a lot of platform players are incorporating support for Claude
Hmm. Yep.
working against their platform. So Mendix is doing that same thing.
Same thing, yes. And the way they're doing it, because they're building an MCP server around the
Right,
development, they could use anything and not only Cloud
right.
Code.
And it's not just Claude Code. I just use
Yeah.
it's
Yes.
a very
Yes.
popular vibe coding thing. Okay, great. Thanks. Rob, over to you.
So Neil, I my background before coming into the product space was consulting and really started out in the low code space quite
Mhm.
a few years ago. You started off by saying, "Man, things are changing like on a weekly basis, and
Yes.
maybe even faster than that."
Mhm.
And as you're changing those things, Golden Earth has to think, well, what is, where do my offerings go? Am I in change management? Am I in helping you reimagine business processes? Am I in enabling business? Where are you guys going to go with all this shift? There's a massive amount of opportunity and promise here, but where do you place your focus as an organization?
Um, that's that's a really interesting question, and I don't have the exact answer because the way things are going, right?
Yeah.
But while we actively serve all the Mendix customers as of now, me as a CEO, I'm always looking out for new opportunities, right? What I've seen, one of the opportunities right now is everyone wants to use AI, right, in an organization, for example, but they don't know how to use it, or there's no governance mechanism that organizations have built in. So for now, one of the opportunities I see it is, for example, say every an organization which has like 1,000 employees, they want to use some AI system. Now, I don't want to go and write a custom platform because things change again. So what I would rather want to do is give some kind of consulting where it's just people are lacking information or knowledge, right? So that's where consulting comes. Consulting doesn't mean we have to write code all the time, but it's just helping someone. So one of the examples would be like if we if we put Claude Code and get an enterprise license and help them configure things in such a way that all the 1,000 employees are able to use the Claude desktop application, and and then you or one admin or one system admin can say what they can use internet or not. If they can use internet, what are the websites they should be able to use, what network it goes through, right? And all those things. Now, these are basic things for me as a developer or as a technical person, but when it goes to 1,000 people company and the leaders, they're not hands on with these things, so they need help with these things. So first is the main opportunities I see with AI coming in is mainly in the space of governance and security. So I think those those are going to be my focus areas.
Great. John.
Interesting. Do you think, Neil, one of the ideas that we've heard from others is that services firms like Golden Earth
Mhm.
will also end up specializing in particular domains like financial services or
Yes.
even more specifically, claims processing or core banking or perhaps process manufacturing. Do you think that's part of the future for you as well?
Yes. So that's certainly a thing that we are focusing on now. We're focusing on few different industries, right? That is like banking or fintech, and then insurance and the sports industries,
Hmm.
right? And real estate. So these four we've decided as our core strategic areas, right? Where our team will be very highly talented on those things. For example, I have more than 4 years of experience in the banking domain. So building if you're going to build applications, it's easier to build few pages and connect to few APIs. But understanding the core banking APIs, for example, all the small and big banks, they use core banking services for maintaining their ledger and all those things, right? And one of the biggest player is called FISO. So if if my company is specializing in banking, then we would know everything everything to do about Fiserv. We would have contacts at Fiserv, right? So that if some bank is working with us, we are able to solve. If they are not able to reach out to Fiserv, we would have relationship with them and solve their problems and all those things. So I
Hmm.
think solutions, solving problems with it will become more important than just writing code.
Hmm. So you mentioned in talking about the services that that you're providing to clients with governance and so forth. I mean, you hinted in that in your answer that there were a lot of people potentially
Mhm.
using the AI tools, including not just technical folks like yourself, but
Mhm.
business people. And I wonder I mean, you hinted at that. Is that something you're actually seeing? We are hearing about a pretty widespread use of Claude. Certainly Claude is very popular, but also Lovable and Replit and some of the other startups where business people are beginning to really try to create applications on their own. Um,
Yeah.
is that something that you think is really gonna take off?
I so I really not today, but even when the low code came out, that was always the narrative, right? Saying, "Oh, a product manager would not need a developer because the product manager knows what the flow is, and they can drag and drop and build everything." But I've always like strongly felt against citizen development, right? Um, because because what happens is like, for example, right now vibe coding is great for ideation, right? But and if a software developer or senior software developer and architect built something using white coding would have a hugely different output versus a product manager vibe coding something,
Hmm.
right? Product manager would vibe code something and would have great features and functionalities and great UI and everything, but they don't know the intricacies of the software development, so they don't know if they should choose say for example these free service database services like Supabase. They have their file storage system, right? So a product manager would not know if they should choose file services through Supabase or through Amazon S3, right? If they should build authentication into their app, or they should use an OIDC provider, right? So there are so many things that goes into coding, and not only coding, but thinking about the whole infrastructure, and especially when it comes to the to the enterprise applications, it those questions are become really really important, because doing something with 100,000 records is simple, but once you start dealing with a million records and 500 users, then security and all those things come into the picture, right? For example, a developer would have something called would know about row level security in a database, right? So each row is assigned to a user and only they can read it. But if the product manager doesn't even know what row level security is, then are they going to build that into their database architecture?
Right. 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 It's a lot more. There's a lot more to it.
Yes.
Great. Thanks, Rob. Over to you.
So Neil, let's kind of close this out and
Mhm.
maybe give some really crunchy advice to our listeners here. I think we've all established this is a really chaotic space right now, but it's a chaotic space where there is a massive amount of opportunity against a backdrop of MIT saying 95% of these things are failing. So many people we talk to are saying, "Well, we're building pilots and then we build them in something else." Or it's really hard to figure out how to proceed and get value and do it in a way that is lowering the risk as much as possible to the enterprise. What are the pragmatic steps you would provide today to say how folks should get started with this AI journey towards, or this journey towards AI and agentic development?
Right. So, the few other things I would consider is, say, pick a workflow and and not some technology that you want to build on, right? Say, um, and then like use a platform which has governance built in for, especially if you're a small company. Say, it sounds very cool when you said, "Oh, I built something in Next.js, and then I have a React front end, and I've connected agents to it, and and can do a million things, but then this moment you start, so also the good thing is to start smaller than starting big. So that's also one of the things. And um then have some developers online with you, right? Not not someone thinking, oh, I'm starting as a CEO and I can build $1 billion startup. That's never going to happen. And and it also, there's also a lot of fog when it comes to, when you start reading a lot of pro AI articles and podcasts for a week. There's a fog that's all positive about AI, and then the next week, if you read or listen to all the negativity, there's again fog around negativity. So having that balance is also important. And then at some point you stop reading and watching everything and just introspect on those things, yes, and then you start measuring honestly. And that, and also for enterprises, they have to measure these technologies beyond profit and loss, right? So I think those are few things that um I would want to want to deliver. And again, for going for something like, say say banks, right? They're very late in adopting technology. So all of a sudden when AI comes in, if bank starts hopping into this AI bandwagon, then all these years that they have been really slow into adopting things because they were cautious, those things go away.
So I would summarize what you've said here in terms of practical advice. First is establish an environment,
Yes.
and that's something you guys work on, and
Hmm.
that includes, it's an environment that lays down the tooling and the services, including security. It lays down governance and some guardrails. So you establish that environment, and your assumption is that the client should assume we don't know this. We have a lot to
Yes.
learn. So that's
Mhm.
thing one. Lay down an environment, get that squared away. Number two, have have your, I think you're saying, have business experts and a pro developer work together. So it's like
Mhm.
maybe a small fusion team. Um,
Yes.
and then number three is start with a process and actually work together to automate that process. And all the while you're learning, and then you can take the next step and the next step and maybe scale up and so forth. Is that fair, Neil?
That is fair. And then one of the thing that might sound like an old school advice in the world of AI is like, buy first and then build second, right? Say if you want to come out with a whole new application, then buy something that has worked for people, and then slowly go into building it yourself, because then you'll have experience onto what goes wrong, doesn't go wrong, what things you should be careful about. But if you're starting a brand new project and you want to build it all the way, then that also could cause problems for you.
Yeah,
Good.
I would throw out one more thing, Neil, that I'm hearing here,
Mhm.
which is all the advice you've given is how to safely deploy technology for business value.
Right.
Focus on the process, get the business involved, not provide incentives for people to use more tokens, right?
Mhm. Yes.
That keep your eye on the business value and how you can see and potentially reimagine business value. And I think that's really, really great advice. So, hey, John, can you take us out?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Rob, for wrapping us up there. Neil, thanks so much for joining us today on the lowdown. Really appreciate your perspective and your advice. And let's stay in touch, okay? Because
Certainly.
you're doing some really interesting work, and it'll, as you say, it changes. It's about every day.
It could change in an hour, right? So,
So people can find out about your company at goldenworld.com,
no, goldenearth.io.
goldenearth.io. And
IO.
are you doing business in a particular region?
We do business in North America and Europe.
Got it. Okay. So folks, have a look. Golden Earth, they're doing some good work. Check Neel out on LinkedIn. He's he shares a lot of his experiences, which is personally I find very valuable. Thanks for joining us today for this episode of The Lowdown, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Thanks, John.